just being able to think positively actually affects your life. If you have positive thoughts, you'll have positive outcomes.
And it's really all about perspective. Like, if we can just change the way we see things, it really does make life a whole lot better.
So today we're going to talk to two students, Kacie Koenig and Angelica Rodriguez, about the Active Minds organization and the upcoming event, Walking for Wellness. First of all, Kacie, you're the president of Active Minds.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit what the organization is and kind of what they do?
So the main thing that Active Minds is all about is encouraging the conversation about mental health, kind of bringing awareness to it and trying to lower the stigma on it, because it's just still viewed as such a shameful thing after all this time, even though so much work has been put in to try and overcome that.
Angelica, tell me some of the activities that Active Minds does on campus to kind of, as you were talking about, it's about spreading awareness about mental health issues. So what are some of the things that y'all do on campus to sort of promote that?
We do positive pop-ups with the counselors where we hand out resources. We do small activities where you write down some things you're grateful for, and you write about self-love. We've done a couple of those.
And we just had one on the 6th where we were giving out little plant pots and little baggies to, quote unquote, spread the seed of positivity. So I thought that was a really cute idea that they came up with. That way people have something to take care of, because being in nature and doing things that helping plants grow is a great way to put yourself into a position where you're doing something for someone or something else, and that in turn promotes positivity in you.
How do y'all feel like these events help students on a general level?
I think it helps them to connect. It gives them a place to be with other people, especially after being so isolated due to COVID. So it gives us a spot to come on campus where instead of just going to class and going home, we're actually socializing. We're getting to know other people. We're not just faces in a sea of nothing.
I think that's really important, because when I first came here I came from California, and over there it was like no one would talk to anyone. Everyone would have their masks on. No one would even make eye contact even. And I came here, and the quarantine had kind of lifted a lot more here than it had over there. And it was almost like a cultural shock.
In all y'all's participation with positivity, what do y'all hope students, generally speaking, get from all of this?
That they're not alone, so that they have a sense of community.
Yeah, and I think it would be helpful for them to get just that there's so much more positive things out there than negative, and it's really all about perspective. If we can just change the way we see things, it really does make life a whole lot better.
Part of y'all's Pathways to Positivity, you have an event coming up. It's the second one now, called Walking for Wellness. So why don't y'all tell me a little bit about that?
So it started out last year as just a way to bring all these different facts and statistics and resources in a centralized place so that we could really reach a maximum amount of people, because not everyone's a member of Active Minds, but it does affect everyone. So it's kind of a way to get them moving, get them reading, get them kind of just talking and socializing with each other. And then after our first really incredible outcome, we were able to make it an annual thing. And so now it's hopefully going to change year to year based on the centralized theme, but it's really just all about affecting mental
Y'all had
health.
quite a few people participate last year. What was the turnout? Do you remember?
I don't even know the whole number, but I know within the first 45 minutes we were out of shirts, and we had 100 of them. So It was an amazing turnout.
Okay. And is this your first year with the group?
Yes, it is. I just started in fall, so I wasn't here for the last year's Walking for Wellness. But I've heard a lot of great things, that it was very successful. We were thinking about having tables for other clubs, to show up so they can hand out, other resources or just positive quotes.
So what happens in the event? What do y'all do during the Walking for Wellness?
So we're all really just in stations of tables around the walk in the courtyard. And we'll start with, the sign-in, then we'll hand out T-shirts for those who completed. But really to just go around, and we have signs all around the, pathway to where it has either facts or statistics. And then as they're going to each station, there'll be some, quizzes and stuff, so they can just kind of, win some cute little prizes. I made a bunch of ribbons for Mental Health Awareness Month last time. And so we were just handing things out so that way they kind of have a token to take with them, something to look at and remind them.
So how does this, I know it's not just Active Minds that's putting this on. Y'all are also working through counseling services and student life. And so how does that, like, what are those other divisions kind of bringing to y'all's event?
One thing that they bring is just like actual resources for us to be able to put on a large event like this, because as such a small club, really, we don't have a lot of hands-on help to do extravagant things like this. So having other clubs that we can rely on and to lend us a hand with things like chairs and tables, so we're not all having to do it by ourselves, it really brings us together as a community on campus. And we've been trying to bring in other just clubs as well this year, because positivity is something that everyone has experienced and something everyone can participate in. And so we wanted to really make this more than just Active Minds.
When is it coming up?
Our Walking for Wellness is actually on Wednesday, April 5th, between 10 to 1.
And can anybody participate?
Anyone and everyone who would want to.
Kacie, why did you decide to join the organization? You know, what brought you to it?
Well, as a psychology major, I've been interested in psychology from a very young age. And so when I came to ACC and I saw that there was a club all about just mental health and psychology, I was like, this is everything that I've ever wanted to do, so I have to be in it, whatever I need to do.
Angelica, what do you do with the organization? Like, what's your role?
I'm the treasurer, so I, keep track of the bank statements and what we've spent and how much we have in our account.
Now, you have a more personal story as to why you joined. What you share as much as you're comfortable with.
Yeah, so in March of 2020, I had a really close friend of mine who actually lost her battle with mental health to suicide. So when I found out that meant that Active Minds was here and that it was used to, spread the word and give out resources and all of that, I thought it would be great, because I don't want anyone to feel like they don't have somewhere to go or something to do.
And you kind of had to deal with it yourself. I mean, you're talking about what your friend was going through, but it also puts you through some stuff because, that's a lot to deal with at such a young age. And did Active Minds kind of like help you a little bit? And I know y'all read this book. Has it kind of helped you through that, through your own kind of personal issues with that?
Yeah, it's actually called Simply Positive by Derek de la Peña. And he gives a lot of tips on how to incorporate positivity into your life. And I've applied it myself, and it really does work. It helps. Like you mentioned before, it was a hard time for me and our friends and her family. So it took some time to finally come to terms that it wasn't my fault and that I'm not guilty for not being able to help and not notice that she was struggling so much. And definitely Active Minds has helped with that.
What is in the book that has kind of, for y'all, kind of solidified like how these pathways to positivity work on campus? I mean, you say you've read the book, so how did the book help you in that regard?
There are a few key things that I still implement now. So in the book, they talk about a study they did on kids. They told half the students that they did really well and that they were smart, and they told the other half that they weren't, and they were all on like pretty much the same, like a similar level. And it turned out like in the long run, those students that were told negative things ended up scoring worse than those who were told positive things. So just being able to think positively actually affects your life. If you have positive thoughts, you'll have positive outcomes. That's something I use right now.
Has it helped you kind of like just with your education in general, you feel like?
Yes, it definitely has. And I was also talking to, he gives like Pathway to Success. He like gives like little talks. After like, he was giving us a presentation about how to take tests, and he said, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was along the lines of, like, if you have a good track record of, like, passing all your tests and doing well, like, believe in yourself, because that's, like, somehow you've earned that. And for a while, I was always doubting myself, like, thinking, like, oh, I'm not smart. Like, I can't do this.
It definitely changes your decision on what to pursue if you feel like you're not confident in yourself.
It changed my perspective because I'm like, I've done it. I've, excelled at a lot of things that I do, so.
Have you read the book, Kacie?
Yes, I've gone also about halfway through it because I've kind of been keeping up with it because we've been trying to do little like chapter discussions in our Active Minds meetings, so we can just go over some questions, kind of talk about the book, what do we think about it, what did you take away from it, kind of like this, honestly. So I've kind of been doing it right as the meeting approaches. I've only gotten to letter like T, but honestly, for me, the most, like I guess, inspirational for me was the second one called Optihope, which in the book he says it's a positive motivational state characterized by encouraging optimism and hope in others with underlying humility and confidence, which I thought was really amazing about, how much it's about affecting other people. Because he talks about one of the biggest parts of that is agency, which is the willpower to do it, and pathways, which is the way power. So, unless you have both the will and the capability, you're not going to be able to do the things that you were hoping to. So it's really about finding that balance.
I was watching a TED Talk. I can't remember what her name was, but she was giving a talk about mental health and how a statement that she said within the presentation was that not everyone has mental health illness, but everyone has mental health.
What was it about that statement that meant something to you? What is it that got to you about that?
Because we all have bad days. We all have, the day where we don't want to get out of bed or we're just feeling tired or out of it. And I think it's important to remember that those days don't define us. We all struggle. Life is hard sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to just stay positive through those times, even though it's hard. Remember what you're grateful for.
Sort of don't dismiss your own mental health just because you feel like you don't have a mental health problem.
Exactly.
I think it's very important to help people understand is that you don't need to have a disorder in order to get help. We all need help. It's okay to, say that's okay to look for it.
Yeah, because actually I was going to reach out to the counselors here on campus because I'm feeling okay. I feel good right now. But I'm stressed and I feel like I need someone to talk to. And I'm not necessarily going through any real life struggles at the moment. But
why not talk about it before it becomes a problem?
Exactly. Address, what is the saying? Address the issue before
Define the issue before it defines you.
Yeah, okay, that works. Yeah, define the issue before it defines you.
Well, both of y'all, thank y'all for coming to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
For more information, you can visit the Alvin College Active Minds Organization Facebook page, or you can email advisor Jennifer Shimmick at jshimmek@alvincollege.edu.